From Reuters, Japan plans to send largest warship to South China Sea, sources say. By Tim Kelly and Nobuhiro Kubo, Dateline Tokyo. Japan plans to dispatch its largest warship on a 3-month tour through the South China Sea beginning in May, three sources said, in its biggest show of naval force in the region since World War II. China claims almost all the disputed waters, and its growing military presence has fueled concerns in Japan and the West, with the United States holding regular air and naval patrols to ensure freedom of navigation. The Izumo helicopter carrier, commissioned only 2 years ago, will make stops in Singapore, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Sri Lanka before joining the Malabar Joint Naval Exercise with Indian and U.S. naval vessels in the Indian Ocean in July. It will return to Japan in August, these sources said. Quote, the aim is to test the capability of the Izumo by sending it out on an extended mission, end quote, said one of the sources who have knowledge of the plan. Quote, it will train with the U.S. Navy in the South China Sea, end quote, he added, asking not to be identified because he is not authorized to talk to the media. A spokesman for Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force declined to comment. Taiwan, Malaysia, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Brunei also claim parts of the sea which has rich fishing grounds, oil and gas deposits, and through which around $5 trillion of global seaborne trade passes each year. Japan does not have any claim to the waters, but has a separate maritime dispute with China in the East China Sea. Japan wants to invite Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte, who has pushed ties with China in recent months as he has criticized the old alliance with the United States, to visit the Izumo when it visits Subic Bay, around 62 miles west of Manila, another of the sources said. Asked during a news conference about his view on the warship visit, Duterte said without elaborating, quote, I have invited all of them, end quote. He added, quote, it is international passage. The South China Sea is not our territory, but it is part of our entitlement, end quote. On whether he would visit the warship at Subic Bay, Duterte said, quote, if I have time, end quote. Japan's flag-flying operation comes as the United States, under President Donald Trump, appears to be taking a tougher line with China. Washington has criticized China's construction of man-made islands and a buildup of military facilities that it worries could be used to restrict free movement. Beijing in January said it had irrefutable sovereignty over the disputed islands after the White House vowed to defend international territories. Whatever that, I don't know what an international territory is, whatever that is. The 816-foot-long Izumo is as large as Japan's World War II-era carriers and can operate up to 9 helicopters. It resembles the amphibious assault carriers used by U.S. Marines, but lacks their well deck for launching landing craft and other vessels. Japan in recent years, particularly under Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, has been stretching the limits of its post-war pacifist constitution. It has designated the Izumo as a destroyer because the Constitution forbids the acquisition of offensive weapons. The vessel nonetheless allows Japan to project military power well beyond its territory. Based in Yokosuka near to Tokyo, which is also home to the U.S. 7th Fleet's carrier, the Ronald Reagan, the Izumo's primary mission is anti-submarine warfare. So things are definitely getting hot and not getting cold in China. So South China Sea. Everybody in the region, I guess, is getting a little bit nervous about China's role. Maybe China's being a little bit premature. They've been making some very strong diplomatic efforts to a lot of their partners in the region, in East Asia and even in other parts of even Africa and Central Asia, trying to establish themselves as the new global leader, the inheritor of the position of world hegemon from the United States, and the moving of the locus of power from the West to the East. But at the same time, I think most of China's neighbors know that China is looking out for China first, and the role that China sees itself in as a sort of uncontested leader that all of the other nations sort of follow, or we set the tone and you play the tune. And I don't think that that's the future and Southeast Asia are looking for. So right now, there's a lot of pieces being moved around, and some of these middle powers like Duterte seem to be trying to get the best of both worlds. And as I've heard it before from people actually from the Philippines who've commented on some of my videos about Duterte, which are some of my more popular videos, he's trying to look out for the national interest first and seeing what he can get that ends up with, the Philippines in the best position that it can be in. And this is the kind of situation where those moves have the most power and the most strength. He has the most leverage when there's a lot of contention going on. But all these exercises, these joint naval exercises and joint military exercises, why it was a big deal when Duterte said no to certain naval exercises is because when these navies work together, and they learn to work together, then they can actually practically fight together. It's one thing to say that you're an ally, but if you don't drill together, you don't have that communication, you haven't prepared for lots of contingencies. If you can develop shared protocols across, the Japanese, the American, the Indian Navy, that sets you up in a good situation if war does break out. So anyway, comment if you live in this area, live in this region, if you have family in the East Asia or Southeast Asia region, or if you're an expatriate in some other part of the world. Like to like, share to share, subscribe for more news in the future. Definitely going to be plenty of news about the South China Sea. I've already done like 10 stories about the South China Sea, so this one ain't going away at all. Hope to hear from you soon. Hope you have a good rest of the day. I think this is my last story, so you won't be seeing any of me until probably tomorrow. Hopefully I can get some more done tomorrow. So I see you soon. Bye-bye.